Welcome back to the channel. We got week 13 Don picks. Before we get into the predictions, I just want to quickly say thank you all for helping me reach the first 50 subscribers. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as we are now on the road to the first 100. So if you want to be a part of history, go ahead and hit that button. Let's kick it off with a Black Friday game. The Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles. I really like the football team that the Chicago Bears are turning into under Ben Johnson. I wasn't expecting them to have this much success early doors, but credit to all the leaders on this team, including Caleb Williams, and across all three phases of the field, they have done a tremendous job of competing each and every single week. This week, they have yet another tough matchup going against that stingy Eagles defense. If they're not careful, as I've already mentioned throughout the course of the season, if their offense isn't in sync or they're having problems finishing drives with touchdowns, they will lose this game. And I know the Eagles offense has not been prolific, but this team has a championship pedigree and they know how to win games. And they're coming off of the back of a disappointing loss against the Cowboys. Expect there to be more motivation for them to win this game. Despite the Bears looking pretty solid so far this season, I'm leaning with the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe their defense can make this an ugly game, and all they need is just a couple of plays from either Saquon, Jalen Hurts, or A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to put this team in a position to win. Moving to the Texans and Colts, I'm looking forward to seeing C.J. Stroud make his return to the field. And looking at Indy, are they legit contenders? Last week in Arrowhead, they had a perfect chance to submit themselves as the favorites in the AFC. They unfortunately fell just short. Looking at the implications for this game, if the Colts win, that almost eliminates the Houston Texans from winning this division. It would become more difficult thereafter. If the Texans win, however, they could potentially find themselves back in the race for the AFC South. And it will help their chances of at least getting a wild card spot. With future playoff implications on the line, I'm going to take the Houston Texans in an upset. Their defense is scary, and one of the key weaknesses we've seen from Daniel Jones and the Colts is that when your pass rushers are capable of generating pressure, that turnover problem that plagued him during his Giants tenure reemerges. And with that defensive line in Houston, led by Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, there is no doubt in my mind that they will be able to get after Daniel Jones. Saints and Dolphins, I'm taking Miami. I like what I saw from them before they went on their bye. Their offense is starting to gel with Achane and Waddle being some dynamic playmakers. And defensively, even though they traded away some pieces and they haven't looked good for a majority of the season, I believe going against that New Orleans offense that might be without Kamara, they should be able to keep them in check. Next up, Rams and Panthers. Carolina is coming off of a stinker in their Monday Night Football performance. I do think they should be a little bit better, but I'm taking the Rams as the Rams are the best team in the league right now, and I don't think anyone has an answer to slow down their offensive unit. And with that defensive unit making plays at all three levels, it's going to be difficult for the Panthers to put up enough points to keep up with that Rams offense. Cardinals and Buccaneers, with or without Baker, I feel pretty confident in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting back in the win column. If Baker was to miss this game, I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a closer ball game. But getting Bucky Irvin back as well, that should be the difference maker in helping them get the W. Next up, Jaguars and Titans. I'm going to take an upset. Give me Tennessee. You can't trust what version of Trevor Lawrence you're going to get. And that was on full display last week in Arizona, a game in which they probably should have lost. Cam Ward is coming off of probably his best game of his young career. There is an opportunity for him to continue that, as the Jaguars defense isn't as stellar as they were to open up the season. And on the defensive side, I can see those pass rushers along with Jeffrey Simmons making it difficult on Trevor Lawrence to establish a rhythm. Moving to the Falcons and Jets, two very underwhelming teams. I'm going to take Atlanta. If they somehow find a way to lose this game, that will just firmly cement this being a failure of a season. Next, we got the 49ers and Browns. Shedeur Sanders is once again the starting quarterback. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm not going to let my fandom get the best of me. I don't see him as this ultra-talented quarterback. But what is most important about Shedeur and the aura behind him is the fact that he's a winner, and he's not afraid to show that. Was his performance against the Raiders the greatest thing since sliced bread? No. But the key thing I want to highlight was the fact that he put this team in a position to win. We've seen with Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco earlier in the year, the offense just struggled to move the ball or at least have a chance to put points on the board. With Shedeur under center, you're not going to have that problem. Flipping over to the San Fran side, I don't know what the hell happened to Brock Purdy this past Monday. That was an ass performance. And even though they won the game, if he plays like that again at any point against any of the good teams, the 49ers are getting cooked. As much as I would love to pick an upset, I gotta stick with the Niners. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an ugly game, as Shedeur is only going to be in the second star. And then on the other side, Myles Garrett has been a beast this season. With how he's been playing, I believe he's going to have an impact on this game. But with C-Mac, George Kittle and the crew, their offense is going to find a way to put points on the board eventually, and that will be the catalyst for why they win this game. Moving over to the afternoon slate, we got a bit of a revenge game, Vikings and Seahawks. As you all know, Sam Darnold was a Minnesota Viking last year, and Minnesota had a chance to keep him, but they decided to go with J.J. McCarthy, and that decision has not paid off. Now, granted, he is essentially a rookie quarterback who's only played in 6 games now, and he's dealt with his fair share of injuries. So let's give the young man some time. Let's see if he can develop into that franchise quarterback as the Minnesota Vikings organization believe he can do. That being said, there's a chance that he will be unavailable in this game, as he is currently in concussion protocol. They will have to go to the backup quarterback, and I'm sorry, I do not know his name, but that tells you alone how cooked this Minnesota team might be on Sunday. I feel confident in taking the Seattle Seahawks. JSN is on a historical pace of reaching 2K receiving yards. And Sam Darnold, as I mentioned, revenge game. I believe he's going to be poised to play a clean game as well. Next, we got Raiders and Chargers. Vegas made headlines firing offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. And now Greg Olsen steps in as the interim OC. We'll see how that looks. I'm not expecting drastic changes. I'm going to take the Chargers. Last time we saw them, they got their asses whooped by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe under Harbaugh, this team is going to respond, and I think they're going to put belt to ass on the Las Vegas Raiders. Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers should be making his return to the field, and it's important to have him back as the race for the AFC North is starting to intensify. For the Steelers to combat that, they're going to have to raise their level of play. Offensively, they have to tighten up. They have to get more from the other receivers outside of DK Metcalf. And with this matchup, they definitely can receive contributions from Calvin Austin and Roan Wilson. But expect them to run the football a little bit more, as the Bills' weakness all season long has been their run defense. And speaking of the Buffalo Bills, they have been extremely vulnerable for what seems like the first time in a while. Offensively, you have Josh Allen, you have James Cook, but the main problem is just that valid wide receiver one. And I don't want to discredit Shakir, because I feel like he's playing some pretty good football for the most part, but he's not a wide receiver one. And it's going to be difficult come postseason if you don't have that stud receiver. And we saw that be the problem last season. And with me criticizing the Bills, it seems like they're not one of my Super Bowl favorites. I don't know if I will go that far, but I will say this. Because they have Josh Allen, I'm going to give them a shot at reaching the Super Bowl at the bare minimum. For my Dom pick, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I feel we will get a more focused, locked-in version of this team. And on the Pittsburgh side, although A-Rod is making his return, I'm not sure if this offense is going to fully capitalize on how bad the Bills defense has been this year. And if that is the case, I'm not sure if the Steelers defense is going to be able to neutralize or even slow down Josh Allen. Sunday Night Football, Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. Last time we saw the Commanders, we saw DQ take over the defensive play calling, and it did look bad. They actually looked much better going against the Broncos, who I believe lead the league in most punts. There's a chance for them to make this game ugly and potentially pull off the upset. I'm going to take the Broncos, though, because their defense is more nastier, and they've been the main reason for why Denver sees themselves atop the AFC. And over their bye week, I'm expecting Sean Payton to have tightened up the play calling and better position that young offensive unit for more success down this final stretch of the season. And to wrap up Week 13 Dom picks, we have the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. I'm taking New England. They have been clicking on all cylinders. If Jackson Dart is available for this game, I believe maybe that makes this a little bit closer. They just have too much turmoil when it comes to firing the head coach, firing the DC. There's just too many moving parts in New York, and I believe that will make it difficult for that young team, despite being super talented on both sides of the ball, to pull out this win against a prime New England Patriots squad. That's going to wrap up the video. If you made it to the end, much love as always. Make sure you hit the like button. Comment down below your predictions for Week 13. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. See you all in the next one.